Hello and welcome to Sports and Touring, and today we're at the British Motorshow. Let's have a proper look at some of the really awesome cars that you don't really get to see too up close normally. Right, so this was that Aventador that we were cruising with earlier. It sounded absolutely ridiculous. It's got a Gintani system. I've only heard these exhaust systems on YouTube. So the SV normally has an exhaust that comes out just there, big one in the middle, but this one's got an SVJ style exhaust.
He can actually reverse it back to stock when he's ready. The rear mesh is a mesh specifically designed for that space to allow the exhaust to come out, and the mesh obviously at the bottom covers up the area where the SV exhaust would normally come out.
Genuinely the best sounding thing I've ever heard, ever. I think we both really want a V12 now, don't we?
Yeah, something like this is definitely on the list. I think this is like your ultimate Aventador, right? This is the one, because you always preferred the SV over the SVJ, and it's got the perfect sounding exhaust.
Yeah, I think for me, I've just always preferred the looks of the SV personally. The SVJ is very, very cool, don't get me wrong, but the SV's just got those clean, those beautiful lines, and to then have it sounding like this, it's just bellissimo. And speaking of SVJs, we have this Aventador SVJ right here. Awesome to see the changes that were made with the four-wheel steering and everything going from the SV to the SVJ. Even though these are epic, I still can't get over how cool that thing right there is. And we've got loads of epic cars in the lineup today. Just quickly going over some. We have the 430 16M Scuderia. These things are very, very expensive now. This is an awesome spec with the red interior. Very, very cool cars. A similar color to James's first Scud. It's awesome to see in this lineup the progression of the mid-engine V8 Ferraris. We have a 355 just there, a 360 Challenge Stradale just there. We have a 458 Speciale, and we also have a 488 Pista. So you've got pretty much every single progression up from the modern V8 Ferraris. Which one's your favorite out of those?
Well, the 16M is quite hard to come by. That's a very, very special car. Having driven the Scud, I know that I would love that. But it's the Pista. I think styling-wise, I love all the aero details on it. I love the way that the sort of aero goes in underneath and over the top of the bonnet, the sort of gaps in the back of it. It's one of my dream cars.
For me personally, I think it would have to be either the 16M or the Speciale. I love the way that thing looks and sounds, and it's just epic. But we can't be talking about these Ferraris and not have a look at this Enzo. Every time I see the Enzo, I've seen a few now over time. Last time I saw one was at Dick Lovett when we were picking up James's 430, but I feel like I've loaded into a video game. It doesn't look real to me. And to go from the classic Enzo to the modern, the big Ferrari right now, the SF90, these things are crazy. Hybrid power, almost 1,000 horsepower, very different, naturally aspirated V12, twin turbo V8 with a hybrid system. There's no competition on which sounds better, definitely that, but these things are meant to be absolutely nuts, absolutely rapid. It would be very cool to experience one of these one day. This seems to have the very nice carbon bucket seats, if that can be seen there. This also has the carbon fiber wheels, and it's a very, very nice looking car. And talking about the modern era, we have the MC20. This is actually my first time seeing an MC20 in person. What about you? Have you seen one before?
No, not in person.
And you know what? I actually don't know how I feel about it.
My main issue with this car is the sound. I'm sure that can be fixed with a decent exhaust system.
The Huracan has been one of the top dogs in the supercar game for a long time.
I don't know why. I just feel like at some point I should own a Huracan. But hearing that SV today, I think I might want to save up for a bit longer and actually get another 2 cylinders. But the Huracan of particular interest is this STO right here. That's almost perfectly in my spec. That pearl white paint, the roof scoop just looks epic. You can see that this one's been driven because of the condition of the wheels over the dusty surface getting in here.
I don't think it's just from the dusty surface. If you look at the tag, it's Mark McCann's car.
Oh.
And we've seen the condition he leaves his SVJ in. So I don't think he's too bothered about keeping his car pristine. Another thing that we can't skip over is the DeTomaso Pantera. This is one of mine and Dad's dream cars. We've always wanted to do some sort of cool restoration, maybe even a resto mod type of build one day.
We might need a few more subscribers and a few super thanks from the buttons below in order to get closer to that. The content will keep coming, so if you keep viewing, maybe you'll be able to see us do that one day.
Right, so this area here is just filled with some of the most amazing supercars ever. We have the Carerra GT, one of the best sounding V10s ever made. We also have this Ferrari, the Ferrari of La Ferrari. It's very, very nice. One of the most beautiful cars ever made in my opinion. I absolutely love the design and the shape, and I think it is a perfect successor to the Enzo. Back there we have a McLaren Senna looking absolutely gorgeous, and over here, the real thing that we came in here for, Ferrari F40 LM. Now, you've actually already seen this car at DK Engineering.
Yes.
But this is epic. One of 19 ever made, one of 2 ever converted for road use. And just look at it. How? How can you not love it? 103!
They're going to get the red pen.
That was the highest score of the week, apparently.
Where's my prize? So it's finally time to make the public announcement. I'm driving for Alpine in the 2023 series.
This is why the whole thing with Piastri and Alonso was a bit up in the air. No one really knew what was going on.
It's because I'm going to be driving, but no, it's really, really cool to see the newer F1 cars here.
Damani said that he was going to buy me a box of Lamborghini Wine when I get...
a bottle.
Oh, a bottle.
A bottle of Lamborghini Wine.
You said...
It's in your hand while you're doing that.
He said he was going to buy me a Lamborghini if I bought a bottle of wine. Is that right?
No, I'll buy you the wine when you buy the Lamborghini.
Oh, right,
That's
okay.
the
You
deal.
sure? You sure?
Yeah.
That's
And then you
the
can
deal.
feel like a champion.
Like you on the Batak machine.
Exactly. I'm so happy to see that there is actually a rotary here, Mazda Cosmo. Everyone who knows me knows that I love my rotaries. Even though this place is filled with mostly supercars and hypercars, it's awesome to see something like this here.
We have one of my favourite cars. I had the standard 350Z. It was my first Z car. Absolutely loved it, and I always wanted to get the Nismo version, which would have to wait a little while for me because I ended up getting the 370Z and then the 370Z Nismo. Love the details, love the decals and the wheels. The front of this car just looks, you know, borderline supercar to me. I absolutely love it.
Those Nismo, I think those are LMGT5s or LMGT4s, I'm not too sure. I'm pretty sure a full set of those wheels cost more than a lot of stock 350Zs go for nowadays. Now, we cannot skip over this R34 GTR. I remember back in the day when I used to look and you could see them going for 25 to 30,000 and thinking, hopefully one day it will reduce enough for me to get there. And now, this is a 6-figure car. I feel like we've stopped to have a look at pretty much every single JDM car that there is here today, but that's because that's what we love, this beautiful Toyota Celica. This is a great example, kept in really good condition. Yeah, I don't really have much else to say than it's absolutely stunning.
It is a real Japanese muscle car. The design of it is so special. I would love to have one of these.
Now, this GTR here has a set of my favorite wheels of all time, Advan GTs. I would love a set of these. The R35 I think is actually starting to age really well. A while ago hold on. There's no way that guy's got that actual plate. That license plate says R35 GTR, like that is the correct layout for the UK. I reckon that plate is worth a very pretty penny. Now, we just spoke to the guys down here at GTR DC. We got told that the person who owns that other car with the R35 GTR plate also owns this with the R34 GTR plate. I wouldn't be surprised if that plate cost more than a couple of those MX-5s put together. Can't leave out this R33 as well. I think this is really nice. I like the BBSs that the person has on it. The R33 is also another one of those cars which I think is starting to age really, really well. It's always seen as the kind of unloved ugly duckling compared to the 32, the 34 and the 35, especially between the 32, 33 and 34, because they all came with similar engines, very similar cars. This is always seen as the kind of left out one, but I really like these cars, and this also has a very cool plate, R33 Sky. But yeah, awesome.
So we put our high vises on because we're in the parking area for the Sporting Bears here with James of JM Cars, who I'm sure many of you will know. And James is out again doing drives for charity.
I'm here with the Sporting Bears, who are a lovely group of people that raise money for children's charities by taking people out for drives in lovely cars. So we get everything from an R8 to the Aston DBS, Taycan type Mustangs, all sorts of stuff here, so people can come along, have a look at the cool wall they've got over there, pick a car they want to have a ride in, donate to charity. All of the money goes to charity, 100% of it, and then yeah, someone gets to have a good time in a fun car, and then some other people that really need it benefit from the money.
Now yesterday we spent pretty much all day here with the Sporting Bears and with James, kind of just filming everything around it for JM and friends. So if you guys haven't seen that video already, make sure you check it out down in the description, and check out the Sporting Bears to support what they're doing.
And at the Motor Show, we also have the epitome of American, I don't know, GT sports cars?
Muscle. The Corvette is muscle.
The Stingray, this is one of the, which one is this, C3?
This is a C something. But it's really cool to see how they've got like the lineup of like, I think it's every generation of Corvette. So we've got a C1 just here. Pretty sure that's a C2. And then you've got the C3s. What I find really cool about Corvettes is you can see the progression and the design language all the way up. And keeping with the American theme, we have the Ford GTs, a few GT40s. I would assume they are replicas. I have no way of knowing what is real and what isn't when it comes to GT40s. And we have the new GT here. This car is crazy. I love the design of it, the way you can look right through the car, just there, the way the air can flow around it. It's absolutely epic. The one thing that I think I could never gel with in this car is the fact that it's got an EcoBoost V6.
I have to give a shout out to my friend Dal, DDJB. He works for the Ford service department, but also does in his spare time work with their sort of PR division, and he does a lot of stuff at places like Goodwood, and they actually allowed him to take this exact car to one of the local car meets in Essex. So he literally rolled up in this car, and we know each other from the Z community, but he was sitting in this originally for £500,000 car. Some of these have gone for £1 million. What an experience. Anyway, shout out to you, Dal. Respect.
So here we have some Lotuses. Loti. What is the plural for Lotus?
It's Lotus.
Why isn't it Loti?
I don't know, that's just not a question that's ever crossed my mind. But a question that has crossed my mind is, what's it like to drive one of these? I've always fantasized about having a Lotus Esprit.
Especially if it's the V8 turbo. I always see these in my mind as the modern day McLaren before modern day McLarens, because it's British engineered, mid-engined V8 twin turbo, which is pretty much what McLarens are right now. And what's pretty cool is that this is clearly his, and that one is hers.
I also used to love the Eland until I found out they were front-wheel drive, and then I was like, what? I was like,
that's front-wheel drive?
Yeah. No
That's
joke.
not a Lotus then, is it? So over here we've got a few touring car replicas, except for that one. That is actually Dan Camish's touring car. It's really cool to see the enthusiasts and how they've put in so much work to put the liveries and the kits onto their regular road cars. Except for that one series, I'm not sure that's a replica of anything, but the rest of these, very, very cool. More rotary goodness. We have an RX-7, finally an RX-7 at the show. I'm pretty sure this is actually the only one here, so it's really cool to see that showing out. Only this and the Cosmo in the hall. This one's nicely done, very clean. And next to the RX-7 we have Knight Rider. Now this is an absolute classic. I remember when I was younger, my dad made me watch this show, and at first I was like, what's this old rubbish TV show? But then it turned out to be one of my favourite shows of all time. The remake of it that they made with the Mustang was never quite as good. It was still fun, but that show with Hoff was epic.
We just came out of the Bridgestone Hall. The music in there was a little loud, but there were a couple of highlights. My personal highlight was seeing an example of one of the first cars I ever owned from 1998, a Mark II Mondeo ST24, in exactly the same colour as I had it. Had slightly different wheels on it than mine. Mine was lowered as well, this one wasn't lowered, but it had the ST200 rear bumper balance on it, which allowed for a twin exhaust, which actually you couldn't get on the original ST24. I had a single exit exhaust, which always frustrates me when I had that car.
Yeah, it was quite funny seeing you look at that car again and reminisce, and you looked into the interior and you're like, I forgot what it looked like inside. And I barely remember that car because I was so young when you had it, but it was really cool to see that. It was cool to see the Koenigsegg, Regera. It was also cool to see a couple Supras. There are a few like max power era cars that we just ignored because that's not really our thing. Also Mark McCann had a couple cars in there. Obviously we saw his STO earlier. We had his SVJ, which he drives it, let's just say. It's very dirty, the world's dirtiest SVJ. He had his Ken Block rally car there as well.
Also in there was Rata Rossa's Testarossa, a convertible Testarossa, a Spyder. And if you know anything about Ferraris, you'll know that that's just not possible because they never made a Spyder Testarossa. And there's a whole story behind that. We won't go into it here because you can check it out on the Ratarossa channel.
As the show's been going on now, there's been loads of noise everywhere from the live action, from the music. But it's been really cool to see everything so far.
These are the moments, only got one life. This is your moment, whether wrong or right. Be your own enemy, your own enemy, your own enemy. Yeah. When I fall, I keep running. Feel the pain, but I love
Now this is a very, very cool car, a feature of which appeared on the SCC Private Members YouTube channel. This is MSO001. It is a very, very, very cool car. If you want to see the feature for that, check out SCC Private Members. We're actually a member of that club. We've done a few videos with SCC where we've gone to some of their events, and we'll leave some links to those in the description below. But this MSO001 has a very special paint finish on it. I love the exposed carbon stripe going down the middle of the car that carries on all the way over to the back with this MSO001 on the rear spoiler with the exposed carbon. It looks wicked. I love the 765 LT Spyder.
Right, so we're here with the Caterham guys. They told us to wear these shades because otherwise we're going to get stuff in our eyes, but I'm really looking forward to this. After doing some instructing and drifting, it's quite fun to do it when the track's wet, but when you've got a car this light on a dry track, it's going to be a lot more violent, so I'm really looking forward to doing that. He's actually driven a few Caterhams. He's done these experiences before, but this is my first time doing anything like this, so I'm really, really excited.
Let's go! Life's like a movie. Lights, camera, action. Put your mind to the living life that you imagine. Life's like a movie. Lights, camera, action. Life's like a movie. Lights, camera, action. Put your mind to the living life that you imagine. Life's like a movie. Lights, camera, action. Life's like a movie. Lights, camera, action. Put your mind to the living life that you imagine. Life's like a movie. Lights, camera, action.
Thank you, Caterham. That was absolutely wicked. Highly recommended.
Comment what your favourite car was from today. Please make sure you give us a like.
Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon, choose notifications on all videos, and we'll see you next time on Sports and Touring.